is with Maurice Ashley.
Yes, he had the white pieces, but it felt like he had the black or the gray pieces or something. Ray, he came in all guns blazing with preparation against you. What were your thoughts when you saw him banging down move after move after move?
Yeah, I wasn't very happy. Obviously he out-prepared me as usual. Actually, he usually out-prepares me more. This time I at least had kind of some idea of what was happening. And I was a white, so it was a little bit easier. But yeah, obviously it was very, very difficult to play over the board. Already on move 4, he played b takes c6, which is not as common as the mainline d takes c6. And then I played d4, cd, queen d4, f6. And here I played queen a4. So I mean, I knew this move, although I couldn't really remember the ideas much. I think queen a4, the idea is I want to push c4, c5 if possible quickly. And I'm like keeping his c-pawn pinned. So for some reason I thought this was an accurate move order, but I didn't remember anything
You're right,
else.
exactly. The games did go in that direction, the point you were making.
Yeah, and queen b6.
Except his queen b6 was a novelty.
I didn't know the move. I had no clue if it was a novelty or not. But yeah, I felt like these positions in general haven't been played very much anyway. At least the specific positions. Yeah, queen b6, c4. Yeah, I kind of assumed he's gonna sack the pawn, and I calculated this line. Actually here, so bishop f5 was my initial idea. At some point I was wondering if actually e5 was his preparation. Ed e5, I guess I should take, otherwise his structure improved a lot, so I should take, and then he takes and it opens the position. I guess probably the computer says it's good for me, but since I thought bishop f5 seemed fine, I thought maybe this was his idea, but then he just immediately played bishop f5, bishop d3, queen e6. This is what I calculated, take, and it looks like I'm doing it fine, like I'm going to develop my knight to c3, bishop e3, knight d4, and it looks like if he wants to take on e6, he'll have to give up his light square bishop, and then, I can never be worse at least. A7 is also always a potential weakness, but then he played knight h6, also, okay, he spent maybe 30 seconds this time. But yeah, knight h6, and then I realized, yeah, somehow this knight's just coming here, and the problem is also, in some lines, his knight can even just go back to g7 and just to take the pawn. And yeah, if he takes this pawn and he keeps the two bishops, then he's usually probably just better. And even if I maybe exchange off his light square bishop, let's just say g4, knight g7, knight d4, bishop c4. Let's say I played b3 or something and he were to take with the bishop. Even if I get this bishop off the board, usually it seemed like I would have to play g4, and then he always has a hook with h5. And I didn't like my pawn structure on the king side. His king will just go to f7, and he has a better pawn structure. I thought even positions like this could be unpleasant. So it was really difficult for me to figure out what I should do, because there's lots of complications. And I assume that I should be fine objectively, but obviously it's very difficult when your opponent's still in their preparation. So I played knight d5, which was a logical move. Castle seemed forced. And now knight b4 seemed like the principal continuation. And here he went bishop c4, which is logical. Bishop e4 is, I wasn't sure if it was possible or not, but again he quickly went bishop c4 and g4. Yeah, I spent a lot of time here because I had wanted to play g4, and then after he went bishop c4, I got worried that g4 maybe has knight d4. And now after we exchange, bishop e3, he takes my g-pawn now, and then if he gets my e-pawn as well, this is terrible. But eventually I realized after rook c1, king b7, I have f3, fortunately. And now his rook has to go to h4, and bishop f2, rook f4, and at minimum I have bishop g3, bishop f2 back. Maybe I have something, maybe I can play for a win, but at least I have a draw, I thought. Although he has bishop h6.
Yes, there was that in some position.
That was the variation we were calculating with bishop h6.
Okay, I didn't notice bishop h6 during the game, although maybe it's still fine there. But yeah, I thought here I'm safe, so he went for knight g7, which seemed critical. But the point was, here at least I got to put my bishop on e3, which I thought made more sense. Because if I had put it on f4, like instead of g4, I could have played bishop f4 immediately.
With or without?
Without
G4?
G4.
Without G4, right.
So bishop f4, very logical. Rook c1's coming. So the problem is king b7. He just delays taking the pawn, so he can challenge my rook on the c file. Rook c1, rook c8. And now I would like to castle, but I can't. And so it makes sense to kick the knight now with g4, I guess. Knight g7. And the problem is he's always either taking an e6 with tempo, or later after he takes an e6 and moves the piece off of e6, he's going to play e5 with tempo on my bishop on f4. So that's why I thought it's better to put the bishop on e3 if I can. So that's why I started with g4, bishop e3, king b7, rook c1. I didn't see what else to play. Rook c8, knight d4 takes. So yeah, I guess somewhere here was critical. Maybe I had something better, but during the game I just didn't see.
I think this moment, Ray, after you played bishop e3, I think we were expecting bishop takes e6. So at least we have a tempo over here. I mean, it's super double-edged if you end up taking this pawn, and we have. But okay, we thought, okay, but as it went, sorry.
King b7 here takes. So yeah, after bishop g4, yeah, this seemed like maybe I had some better way to continue the attack here, but I just wasn't sure. Obviously, I spent all my time, so maybe, yeah, I wasn't sure if I should have taken on f6 immediately back, or if I should have tried to keep the rooks. I just didn't see a clear way to attack. Yeah, maybe here I could have played rook c1 instead of taking on f6. I just wasn't sure, and I didn't want to risk him just keeping the pawn. Because now, for example, he could play f5, but probably that's good for me. f5, rook c6 maybe. And now I think the problem is if rook d8, I have bishop g5, and his rook is overloaded, defending both bishops. So it's possible I could have included rook c1, but I just decided to take and be safe, because this can't be so bad. But yeah, now he's at least safe himself, and I'm kind of on the defensive. So it was still very difficult here. Yeah, I thought all his moves were logical. Maybe we made some mistakes, but during the game everything seemed.
By the way,
all right, we got a decisive game here with Carissa. So she did win the game, big comeback for her. Ray, we've got a lot of interviews lined up. So your thoughts now? You had are you more relieved than anything else? Like, what's your emotion coming right after this game and now going into tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely relieved going into the game. Obviously, I wanted to try to win, but during the game, the way it went, yeah, I just had to defend, and I was in a very difficult situation. Whereas in the previous games, I think I was never worse, so it was a lot different this game. So yeah, mostly I'm just happy that I got out with half a point.
Before I let you go, the Carolina blue jacket. Tell us why this looks like your favorite jacket.
Oh, I mean, it's a great jacket. It's from the Olympiad. Obviously, good memories, and I just don't have a lot of jackets, and I don't like buying new things often. So, yeah, that's basically it.
Okay, all right.
I remember those Olympic jackets. Those were good memories. All right. Well, you're tied for first. Good luck tomorrow, and hope to do more interviews with you.
Okay, thanks.
Good luck.
Absolutely. Ray.